let it count down.
All right, well, welcome to our final AAC meeting of the school year. We have a couple different things we're trying to accomplish in this meeting specifically. We're going to talk about our campus improvement plan and what we did this year with it, share with you what we think we want to do with the CIP for next year. I know for myself, we are doing map testing next week. And then STAR scores haven't come out yet. So that really is a big predictor of a lot of what we do. And then just reviewing some of the information about Title I. We keep learning more and more information about Title I monies, and we can kind of talk from there. So I think the first thing we were going to do was just share some glows and grows going on at our academy right now. You want me to start? Oh, okay. Well, everything is all things senior. We had our first senior brunch last Saturday. It is a Great Hearts tradition for faculty to pick a senior and write a tribute for them. And then at the whether it's a banquet or a brunch, we eat a meal together, and then each of the faculty come to the microphone and share about 2 to 3 minutes worth of a tribute about that senior and wish them well. And so that was deeply moving. We also got back from the senior trip not that long ago. Mrs. Glow and I took the 20 out of 29 seniors who did go on our senior trip, many of which went on the trip free because they had done enough fundraising with the school things that we did. Most of them had quite a bit of money towards, and a couple of them didn't pay anything for their trip. So it was amazing. 6 days, 5 nights in Washington, D.C. It was really fabulous. And it's been really fun to watch the evolution of the seniors from even just this year, from August through the end of the year. We had our last senior thesis defense on Monday. And so every single one of our students had a senior thesis advisor. They stood in front of a panel. So the way that senior thesis goes, they give about a 10-minute speech that basically summarizes what their 15-page paper was about. And then they sit down at a table, and they have 3 teachers on a panel who grill them for 45 minutes with questions on anything having to do with their paper and the works that they used. And then they open it up to the audience. So it's about an hour long, and it's a really seminal sort of pivotal thing. Students must pass the senior thesis defense to graduate, even though there's nowhere on their transcript that says it was a grade or it was a class or anything like that. I do think that they do enumerate it on their transcript that they did give a senior thesis and defense. So that's been like a proud mother. I feel like as if I have brought these students almost across the finish line, and it's pretty exciting. So I think that covers it for us.
Also, Ms. Keffer, I figured out how to stream it.
Okay.
So we can stream the
So you don't have to.
PowerPoint.
I don't have to do that anymore. Okay.
So just as
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is Asher from lower school with Miss Rodriguez. So we've had a fast and furious fourth quarter, not quite done yet. We're close, but not there. So some things for us just to celebrate from the fourth quarter so far was, well, STAR testing. It's always a big deal in the sense that third graders is their first time. And so it's always, for us, it's a responsibility to kind of shepherd them through that experience as a first time test taker in the high stakes field, because they feel the pressure whether we want them to or not. And so right for us, if we can get through it with third graders, that's always a good thing for us, that if we can get them through feeling confident and good about themselves, and not letting it get to them, but seeing best effort, which we definitely did this year. We hosted our first annual BARD competition, which was amazing, and really, really a special moment for us as a school. Our kiddos really did a wonderful job. We hosted a really successful readathon. We raised a lot of money for the school, and so all of that money is getting poured back into the community. We've gotten approval to make some updates to help with PE space, and so I'll be able to continue prioritizing readathon money towards that to build out our campus facilities for students. And then we got done with our music concerts. So we had our second music concerts in the gym, and they were lovely, just they were last year. And so it was nice to see that we could continue on with what we did last year and make it a little bit better. And we got really great feedback from parents and students and teachers that was a good experience all around for everybody. So great.
All right.
So the next thing on our agenda is to talk just a little bit about a campus improvement plan. So the campus improvement plan is the way in which we assess. So the first thing we start with is a needs assessment. So assessing and summarizing what information we've gathered from student achievement and student growth data. One of the things that we have really leveraged as an upper school this year specifically is MAP data, which gives student growth data. And I hope that you've heard, if you've got an upper school student, your student come home saying, I got to get on IXL because I'm in this challenge and I'm going to earn those SeaWorld tickets, or my class is going to get a donut party. So we've been really challenging with students. Their very last challenges for 6th and 7th graders is on Tuesday and Wednesday. They're going to be doing one more time at the MAP to see from beginning of the year to end of the year. And they've got a goal card. So the teachers are going to go through them on Monday, talking about they have a sheet that's been printed for them that gives them their scores from the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, the end of the year. And we've talked a little bit about just how do we think about the ways that we study and we learn. And so I'm excited for them to get this, to create a goal for themselves for their final test, and then to see, hopefully they're not comparing themselves to other people. They're not comparing themselves to their whole class, or I'm number 45. That's never an important piece of the way we run a school. So that's helpful for us as an overall as well. The other thing the campus improvement plan does is that it is a professional development need. Go to the next slide. Coordination of resources and services. And because we're a Title I campus, because every school does a CIP or a campus improvement plan, the Title I schools very specifically speaks to how we're going to use our Title I funds, and then the strategies that we're going to use with schools, the parent community, and the family engagement. So I'm going to have the lower school first talk through their campus goals that they had this year. And I don't know if we can even move to the slide that has your data. If you want to talk through the data that I didn't put my data in here, but I can talk through it. So if you would go to the next slide. Well, so she's going to talk through her goals, which are on slide 4.
I'll click this one.
Nothing's come up there.
It's not going to, this is live to them.
Okay.
I think you'll have just
Yeah.
remind
Oh, I'm
them
sorry. I
to
forgot that you guys
for
were
all of
running
us.
this up here.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
Sorry.
No.
You told me I didn't need to use
I
it
know,
anymore.
I noticed that.
So so lower school, and then I'll flip to your data points if you want to use. So your data points on slide 15. We're going to hop to slide 5. Sorry, no. Slide 13 after she goes through these.
Okay.
So I will, in a condensed version, paraphrasing, talk about just our goals from this year. So we had shared these in Q1, and so we maintained these throughout the school year, making no changes. And so we set a hefty goal that 80% of our math teachers would reach an average score of a 4 to a 5 in areas of questioning, thinking, and lesson structure and pacing. And so we used a formal observation and aligned teacher rating system, basically a scorecard in our classroom observations to evaluate teachers towards our math goals. We wanted students to have 60% of our students reading on grade level by the end of the year. So taking beginning of the year reading data, and by the end of the year, making sure that 60% of our kids in every cohort was reading on grade level. We had a goal for 75% of our instructional faculty would demonstrate improved implementation of TEKA-aligned instruction. And so emphasis in making sure that our lesson plans and what we're doing in the classroom was TEKA-aligned throughout every school day. And then also maintaining academic growth made on our STAR. So last year's 24-25 STAR, lower school's growth was really, really incredible. Our achievement wasn't nearly as high as our growth was. So our students are growing at a rate that it higher than what they're actually achieving close to benchmark, but that's great because it means that they're growing, which
hopes that we can send off middle and high schoolers that then will do really well and be, well equipped to tackle what's next in their journey. And so just looking at that and keeping that growth and that momentum going and not backsliding in the growth. So achievement is important, but kids need to keep growing while they achieve. So.
And I'll go ahead and share. Ms. Zamora, can you go to the next
Slide 13.
yeah, slide 13, please? Thank you. It's the, there we go. Perfect. Yeah. And I'll go over the next 3 slides.
And
So
then- and then once you're done, we can pass this around if anybody has questions for on
Okay.
say the lower school.
So the first slide I'm going to go over is we've already completed our MAP testing. And that's for 2nd through 5th grade. We test our students 3 times a year, beginning of year, middle of year, and end of year. They're tested we get results based off of their growth and achievement. So their achievement is essentially like their ranking against students in the same grade level, the same amount of testing, the same amount of instructional weeks in the United States. Okay, and then the growth is obviously how did they grow? So we have some students that may not be at grade level, but they showed significant growth, right? So those are the 2 things that you'll see. And as a campus, our growth in math was at the 65 percentile, and then for reading, it was at the 52nd percentile. And so for math specifically, our achievement went from the 58th percentile to the 66th percentile, with the top 2 grade levels performing, like our star performers were the 5th grade and 4th grade. Okay, and then slide 2, or the next slide, thank you, is reading. And so our overall, the national norm, we are at the 52nd percentile, and then, well, that was what we started at, and then we ended up at moving to the 61st percentile. The reading performers were 5th grade and 2nd grade, and then let's see, the next slide is going to be Dibbles. So Dibbles is what we use for, it shouldn't say 2nd through 5th. It should actually say, that's my error. It should say kinder through 5th. This is measured one-on-one. So the lead teacher will assess every single student in their class, beginning of year, middle of year, end of year. And this is where they're assessed on different measures per grade level. So the measures that they have at the kinder level obviously are not the same measures in 2nd grade or 5th grade. Actually, the measures decrease, like the quantity of measures decrease. And so overall, by the end of the year, 69% of all students met or exceeded their reading goals. So that was a huge plus. Also, a major increase was kinder. So every year our kinder babies, that's what we call them, they come in at the beginning of the year, and whether some of them have had schooling and some of them have not had any kind of schooling. And so our beginning of year goals are typically the lowest, but then you see the biggest growth at the end. And so kinder, we only had 33% of kindergartners that were on track, but by the end of the year, it jumped up to 71%. So I can't wait for our kinder teachers to see that, because they'll finally see that it paid off all of their hard work. And then in 3rd grade, our 3rd graders also saw an impressive gain. We have 54% of them performing above benchmark. So benchmark would be grade level. So 54% of them are performing above benchmark. Yes.
Why is there 150 students at the end of the year?
Beginning.
It's from 745 total students to 595. We didn't lose 150.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I can look into it. I know some of the things. Oh gosh, I don't know. We can look into that with our registrar. Yeah. I know one thing that our 2nd graders are not fully done with maze. So, and that's one measure that contributes to the composite score, which is the overall score. They're testing this week. So I don't know if that might play into effect. Yeah, into it is our second graders are not fully done yet. So this is just as of today. Yeah. Thank you for catching that.
There's some noise out there. The House Council they're making a movie for the House banquet, and they have scheduled teachers every day for certain scenes. So that's not even students out there behaving like that. That's teachers.
At least they're having fun. That's good.
All right, I'm going back to the upper school goals. So specifically this year, our goals, as you can imagine, are focused on middle school math. So middle school math has been something we've been focused on for the last couple of years. And one of the things that we've focused on is both growth and achievement. We are a school that will always be focused on growth and achievement. We are a Title I school, which means the sixth graders coming in every single year, especially since we get a group of them that come from outside of our school, are always going to be in a place that are going to need a lot of extra help. And so it's a good thing for me to remind myself of it, because sometimes you think, well, we fixed that problem, right? We've replaced that teacher, or we've gotten another interventionist. Every year, those things are going to be a focus for an upper school. Our huge focus is really building those habits, filling the gaps in middle school, so that when they are here for ninth grade, they have all of the skills and abilities to shoot for the stars as far as high school is concerned. So the goal 2 is similar to goal 1, but it's for ELAR. And then goal 3, we've got middle school science. 8th graders take a science test that they have that is a STAR test. But if we just focus on 8th grade science, we would never be successful. So looking at 6th and 7th grade, and we did a lot this year. We have departments now. So the middle school science department meets together to talk about what is the alignment and what needs to be done, and what are 8th grade teachers seeing as gaps that a 6th grade teacher or 7th grade teacher could be helping them with. Then our goal 4 was for social studies. The hardest thing about social studies, it's a 2-year test. So they take the first half of U.S. history, Revolutionary War to Restoration, part of the Restoration for Civil War in 8th grade, and then 9th grade it picks up with that Restoration and until about the 1980s. So there's so much that's going on. And convincing our teachers that they're going to have to go at a bit of a clip to be able to get through everything, and everybody has their most exciting points of history that they want to focus on, and then really drilling them on, let's focus on the vocabulary and the specific dates and the specific historical figures, and making sure that they are consistently building a flash. So now all of them have like a deck of flashcards that they've built since the beginning of the year and are constantly reviewing those, so that not only are they getting through the lessons that Great Hearts curriculum wants them to get through, but they're also going to be, they have gotten those specific things that the STAR test definitely challenges them on. The last one is develop and manage a credit recovery and dropout prevention program. Upper school attracts a lot of students that are struggling at the public school, either academically or behaviorally, and they come in, and if they come in at 9th grade, they're more likely to be successful. If they come in middle school, they're more likely to be successful. But what we've found is that parents want to keep their child here because they are so fearful of what may happen to them at the public school, but they don't have the skills and the abilities to rise to the occasions. They're not getting the support at home, or they have so many gaps that it's become demoralizing for them. So we had to put a lot of things in place that a lot of the other Great Heart schools haven't had to do. So we had to create them from scratch because other schools just didn't have to do them. So credit recovery, and one of the things we're going to do next year is a more education for parents. So credit recovery drops into 2 categories. One is attendance. If you're not here for 90% of the classes that are being offered, then you can't pass a class, even if you have an A. Most part, all of our students who are failing classes are because of attendance, almost 100%. So they have to do 2 things. They not only have to make up We have a credit recovery class that they go to that just make up hours. But they also have the component in which you weren't here for that work, and now you got to do this makeup work and try to get caught up. So I feel like more education on the side of the parent. We don't have a resource officer. We don't have a truancy officer who can go out and get them and bring them back. So even struggling with a couple of seniors who are going to walk with me, not get a diploma, who will be coming back and doing credit recovery. Not many, but it's something about on the family side, they're not taking it seriously. If your teenager doesn't want to go to school, you don't have choice. You get in the car and you're going to go to school. We're going to drop you. Once you drop them off here, they will do this. They will get in line with what we're doing. They're usually just fine. I know what it's like to have a teenager at home, and they tell you these stories about how sick they feel, and you just have to do that sort of tough love. So we're going to try to get the word out with families, because most of these kids are perfectly capable. The other one is that we have students who will drop out junior and senior year because the pressures of home say you need to be able to go to a school that you can leave by 1 so that you can have a job. As long as they're going in, they're registering in another school, it doesn't list for us as a dropout, but for us, that hurts our heart. We really want to be able to help those students stay with us and be successful. So working on tracking both attendance and grades and staying on top of that so that we can fully inform parents as often as possible. Really happy to that Great Hearts Western Hills Upper School will be piloting the open grade book for that Great Hearts has been doing in Arizona this last year, that gives the ability for parents to, on your phone, check in. It isn't live all the time. It has specific times every week in which it's live. So you don't have to rely on a grade printout coming home, but you can check in on that. CCMR data is college and career and military readiness. And it has a lot, it is, for the first time, it will affect our TEA rating. And there's several things that go into it. One is graduation rate. Second is, are they prepared? In other words, did they meet the benchmark score for SAT? And if they didn't meet the benchmark score for SAT, did they pass the TSI, the Texas something readiness? So if you don't have, I learned this when I signed my son up at San Antonio College. If he hadn't been able to produce his scores that said he had above the benchmark score for the SAT, he would then go upstairs to the old testing lab and taken the TSI test to prove. Because if you don't have this, the hardest thing about it is if you don't pass their TSI benchmark, then they will put you in a recovery math and or ELA class that is you pay for, but you do not get a grade for, and you get no credit for it. But you can't take their English 101, you can't take their college algebra until you pass it. So we have 91% of our seniors are either met the SAT benchmark score or passed the TSI for both math and reading. So very excited about that. The data points that we have on these are only speculative because they came from the STAR interim. And we made a lot of adjustments after the STAR interim. We take that early February. And so one of the areas in which we really focused was the 8th grade history. They had fallen off on making the flashcards and really drilling those with the students. And so we made some repairs in there. Our science looked really great. Our English 1 and 2 EOC, that's 9th and 10th grade end of course exam, had been poor the year before. We made some adjustments to humane letters, and the scores look so 90, 60, 30 is what we're supposed to get. So 90% of your students at least approach benchmark, if not go higher. Then 60% of your students are at benchmark, and then 30% of your students are above. So we're close to that with our English EOC, so that's super exciting. Our Algebra 1, it's 72, 33, 17, so it's below that 90, 60, 30, but last year we had 21 students who did not pass the class, who had to retake it this year, and we only have approximately 8 students. So there's some work that's happening there. And our 6th and 7th grade math, This has been the year in which we have done the most work with them. They have department meetings as a middle school, 6th and 7th grade work together. They are taking weekly, quizzes in the IXL platform to give immediate data to the teacher so that they know what to reteach every single week, plus the students getting practice taking a math test on a computer. So just doing a lot of things to help with giving our teachers all the right tools. And we've continued with we have a remedial math class and a remedial English class that 6th, 7th, and 8th graders take if they did not pass the STAR test, and they take that in place of Latin. And the students that need to be in that class are reducing in number. We don't have 30 students in there. We have more like 12. So that's been exciting to see that students are returning. So typically they're only in there for a year. If they come to us in 6th grade, they're typically there for 6th grade, and then they're ready to take Latin in 7th grade. So that's pretty exciting. The next slide just shares with you the state assessments that we take, and next year Great Hearts is changing. They're not requiring us to do the MAP test, which measures the academic progress. We, as an academy, have the opportunity to choose to pay for it out of our budget, and that's something that we'd like to discuss. I'd like to discuss with you because it's something that specifically has been helpful for our special ed department. They have created all their goals based off of it. There's the other piece of it is whenever there is a move to a new test, so the STAR test is making some changes to just the structure of the STAR test, and then instead of MAP, we're going to be taking the STAR interims. So I would like for at least a year to continue to use the MAP test as well, because it's data we know. It's data that we know how to interpret when we're also taking. So we have a couple things to wait, because I also don't want to over test our kids. Getting on a computer and knowing for the next 3 hours, I have to take this test, and when I'm done, I got to sit here, is not the way that we want to see our students spending their days. So that's up for discussion. We got the district STAR interim test and the STAR testing, and then of course the unit assessments and final exams and tests that happen in lower school, including the DIBELS testing. Anything you wanted to add to that?
Only thing that I can add is that next year, with all of the testing changes that Great Hearts Texas is making in anticipation of the STAR redesign, I don't know what the official name of it is, but we've survived a couple already. It's changing again. Is they're adding so DIBELS, the same amplified DIBELS that we use for evaluating literacy present levels. We're adding a component for math, so we'll be evaluating all of our K-2 students in the area of mathematics using Amplify. So they'll actually give us benchmark data on K-2 math levels, like readiness, present levels, and we've never had that before. Yeah.
And I'm going to go backwards a little bit, but help me out to understand. So we know we're putting all this data here. We're looking for, increased numbers of testing. But I also know what how to do. Again, you mentioned students in seats, right? You're missing them, and you also mentioned we don't have a truancy officer, which is quite okay. But correct me if I'm wrong, because I understand public school, yes, they have that facilitated, but they also have within their program, they literally just reach out to the parents. It's contractually agreed, or I know by the state, that if their kids miss school so many days, they're held responsible legally for missing it out. Do we not have anything within ours not capable to do it? We just haven't put it in there.
So as far as I understand, if we wanted to as a school, as a headmaster, if I wanted to say that I was going to make home visits to top 10 truant students, try to find out what's going on, I could do that. Or assign somebody else. We would never assign one person to go by themselves. So we could add that to the job that we're already doing, but that's the extent that there isn't a district. This is something that if parents want to speak to the district on our behalf, because we can't, the resource officer, it does not, so it's very interesting, like when he has nothing to do with what's happening in the public when he's here. And he only does what we ask him to do. And they've gone as far as a student left the property and started running for a convenience store. He went and got him and brought him back. But that's the extent that they have jurisdiction. They don't have jurisdiction to go to somebody's home and demand the student get in their car from school. From what I understand. So they're
I can speak from the lower school side too.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
truancy's been a big deal at lower school, and especially when you've got younger students.
Right, they have to be in the building to learn. And so it's something that I know I worked on even as an assistant headmaster. And so we've had a matrix that we created on our own essentially, because we had so many people that came from other places that knew what those best practices were. And so I've actually gone on home visits and we called on emergency and asked for an officer to come join us. So that actually has happened before from our end. So our registrars do follow, and our admin teams, if we have a matrix that we follow that involves parent contact of a phone call, an email, a follow-up email, a request for a meeting, right? And for lower school, there's consideration for retention once you hit a certain percentage. And so we follow a matrix. The district has adopted, this was the first year they had an adopted matrix that they leaned on a little bit of the matrix that we had used prior for Western Hills. So it's something that, I mean, all of us have worked on
What we've
over
been doing.
years. I mean, I remember when Ms. Glow was a teacher, right? And those are conversations we have. So it's something that from what we have, from what has been shared with us, it is not a resource that our charter school can pay for or have, but I don't know what the back end of that is. We don't have an ability to pay for a truancy officer like maybe a big district would, but we do have permission to go do home visits ourselves.
And so, but with the absentees, it is then that we do lose out financially.
Yes,
Well,
we do
yes.
that as well.
And so,
Yes.
but then, so we're looking at making investments in different spots. But if we're losing, I don't know what, let's say 10% of daily,
I think that the most
I'll-
recent one I've seen, you're gonna pull it up.
But no,
We actually just got like 95% is our average in the upper school, which isn't the worst in Great Heart, San Antonio, but it is. And it used to be in the 80s. The house system helps because Fridays were terrible.
Yeah.
So now with house games on Fridays and the incentive to wear a t-shirt instead of your uniform has helped, right? The fact that the students, the best thing going for them is the friends they have here has helped, but still there's that, that's just that some of it is the parent doesn't want to get up out of bed.
So I can
totally-
share just the data that's the most recent update that we got. So Western Hills is the second and third highest chronic absenteeism in the district, which is Great Hearts, Texas, which includes San Antonio and Dallas. So for lower school, we are at 11.79%, and for upper school, it's 11.86% of our student population is considered like it's in the red, chronic absenteeism as a problem.
So, and again, so I'm the legalities of how our charter works or in the public school system, because I grew up in the public school system. My family's taught me for years that yes, their parent is legally responsible because their child's a minor to make sure they go to school. I know we keep talking about it. And at that point, at what point would we not look at it as where this is, again, we are still financially provided by the state in some fashion, that the obligation be taken upon by the state and saying, hey, yes, we appreciate the funding. We want to make sure we have more of it by having more than, I mean, you're at 11% up our lower school, and we don't expect our, headmaster to have enough on them as it is, right? So maybe say, okay, if we allot some portion of finances for that role to be filled, then our 11% may even go to 8-7%, and it's a well welcome investment because our senior class is 29. What will it be next year?
41 or 42.
And you're telling us that between 92 and 95% are actually there. Well, then we just start getting more seats empty,
Right.
which is not your fault, not
Right.
anybody's fault. It's just we're working off the numbers you're giving us.
What we need is T. So we get constant information. I know how many we have this process, and the process takes. Like if we have 25 kids after the end of third quarter who need to have a meeting with their parents, it's sending an email, sending a letter, making a phone call, setting up the meeting. Parent doesn't show up, so then you don't think if they knew that their seat was in jeopardy, then there would be a whole change. And so that's charter school law. So they have to not have had any contact for the school for 2 full weeks before we can say your seat has been revoked.
So it's two, but I'm
14
you're talking to the
consecutive
student. I'm
school
actually
days.
talking about the parent.
Yeah, it's the
Like-
parent.
Right.
And so it's literally parents are able in public school system in San Antonio, you are then actually prosecuted by the law.
Correct.
So I know you're talking about a seat as far as a student, which very much our kids love it here and that's why they go here. But the accountability is still there on
I think it would have to be our
So you have a
Our
legal.
private law firm that
Private
has
law firm would
billable
have to be,
hours would be
exactly,
the ones that have to
exactly, they would
prosecute.
have to, because you have to take a person to court, which then is the legal
Mhm.
the wheels go into motion, right? Which is now you've contacted the parent, you have given them documents that have been traveled to their home, and so.
But how is it a civil act when it's actually criminal? Help me out, maybe I'm not.
So there's a difference between a school resource officer and a contracted police officer. The school resource officers have lots of training and all that stuff. And my understanding is they're the ones that have to initiate it. So we would have to have a school resource, a truant,
A truant officer,
which we would have to contract. My understanding is
I
the
think
school
that we,
would have
I
to
think that we
contract.
can, we have the legal ability to do it, it's just, it's the money to do it.
It's expensive.
But is this something that the school wants to take on? I mean, it sounds like a lot of work.
I mean, we're looking at almost 12% of our literally kids not being in their seats, which is how much money daily.
True, I think it's incentives.
And then classes are getting bigger. You got now almost double the senior class, and the year after that, you double of that.
We'll have,
So I
we'll
don't
have
really
about
think-
75.
And then you don't think about it, but at that point, if you have, let's say, a full class of senior of 120 kids, and we're down to 10% missing every day, that's just one class going through the whole spectrum. How can we not, as a school, want to invest in something that's going to take that 10% to 5%? Because it is money. Yes, it is an outside contract, and maybe it's something you look into as, all right, per quarter, then they address it because 2 weeks straight or whatever. I don't know. We're talking about money,
Right.
because that's one thing we brought up between handling, advancing our school in certain ways, between whether it's not just academically, but athletically, right? That these small things of, hey, putting it within our bylaw, I don't know what that means. Is there accountability?
Because what you're talking about, so if we filled, let's say we just filled back 5% of those seats, and we were only we would now more likely meet our budget. As far as because CI, we do not bring in enough philanthropy to do CI. But if we filled the seats, then we would have the money to do some of the things with athletics, with facilities, with something like a resource officer. And I mean, I'm happy to look into like how many days a month would we need to contract somebody? Would it if we had the person they were here every Tuesday and Thursday, and they ran whatever most recent kid wasn't at school who was most likely truant, and he made a list of 10 kids, and he visited those homes every Tuesday and Thursday. He had a rotation, and we only paid for those. I don't know. That's a way that we can do it and start. And then word gets out, like, oh, man, that guy's going to show up,
And it's not just for the student, though. It's really for the parent.
Mhm.
right.
That's really the accountability comes to.
The key will be though, if you pick the kid up and bring him to school, but then there's no legal action against the parent, then well, you know what I'm saying? In other words, one of the things we've learned in the last 5 years, as soon as you put teeth to a consequence that a student and a parent don't like, then the behavior, they figure out how to have self-control, right? So it's a matter of teeth, and we've been asking the district, it's fine and good that you've got these policies and that you send us these spreadsheets that give us this great information, but if I can't say to somebody, if you don't bring your student to school tomorrow, you will have hit 10 days and now you are no longer have that seat and we'll be giving it to somebody else. And then there's escalating. And then if you cannot miss any more days, unless you have actual doctors do, right? So we've been asking for that. I've been asking for it since I've been here 11 years, so.
Okay, I was just trying to back because we talked about it, and I mean, at 12%, I'll use that because 11 more.
Yeah, it's 155 students for both campuses.
A day.
That's a lot.
And
That's a
when you-
lot
when- yeah, you
of
multiply
students
it, yeah.
missing school. A lot of
That's
money not
3
being in the
classes.
school.
If you're able to disenroll them after 2 weeks though, because, and replace it with another student who isn't school, does that alleviate the problem?
It would alleviate, the problem is that you have to make an attempt to get a hold of them. And if they either answer the phone or respond to an email, then they have now they have
Reset
made
14.
contact.
And
within
it's
that 14.
phone call, email.
And it's consecutive days. You said,
It
right?
has to be 14
So
consecutive
they
days.
come on the 13th
You have to
day,
have-
that's kind
or
of
mix the next
Yeah.
No
2 days.
student's gonna miss.
Yeah, you have to do a phone call,
Consecutive
an email with a delivery report, certified
We have
mail,
one that says
and
like
a home
75.
visit.
75.
75
but has responded in some fashion.
within the 14,
So
so
the
the clock
charter
keeps
written-
ticking.
No, she hasn't actually. She hasn't responded, but I'm a McKinney Bento student, So our hands are tied. We can't do anything with that one.
It's a homeless.
Mhm.
So, yes.
Anyway,
There are a lot of loopholes that
Mhm.
happen with when parents learn that a charter school is not only you get to choose the school, but they don't have all the resources of the public school. So it's going to be less likely that they'll get, you know, what I'm saying, you have rolled your kid in a school, right? They go there once in a while. They don't have a resource officer. They don't have a truancy officer. And, you know, they come up with all kinds, we don't even have to lie because there's just not enough of us, you know, coming at them. So it is a frustration, and it is the 100% the reason that we exist is the money that we get for them being in the seat. And I think that has something to do with it. We need help on the legislative side, because this is the best way that Go Public fights against charters, is that you hamstring them in the ways that they can gain their revenue. And so if you can keep them from getting the full amount of revenue, then they're less likely to be successful.
And I will say from a lower school side, kids just do get sick a lot. So there's sometimes I get the report and I get really frustrated. Like, do you have any idea how many kids are sick? So illness, I think, I can't speak for upper, but it is an issue in lower school at certain seasons. People also know that from a lower school perspective, if they have too many absences with their kids mostly doing fine, the retention is not likely, because it doesn't actually benefit anybody. In the state of Texas, parents can also deny a school's recommendation for retention. And so at the end of a retention season, you might recommend 12 to 15 and only 2 parents will say yes. So we rubber to the road, but they have the right to say no, which they absolutely do. And they have that right as parents in the state of Texas. And also it doesn't count for credit. So in high school, you have to make up your credits. Your vacation in October doesn't account against your high school graduation. So there's also a lot of things like that from my perspective when I'm speaking with families in the truant situations. Well, we just wanted to get cheaper tickets to something. And so it's to me, I've got it's a multi-tiered problem.
But we don't have the problem because they know that the last, Thursday, we have finals on Thursday. And so we've had families try to test us on that one. You're getting a 0 on the final and it's 10% of your grade.
Yeah, I had a family actually reschedule their vacation because they realized their son would miss the final. So
but it's taken a couple of years for them to believe this. They keep thinking that somehow we're not going to really not give them an opportunity to retake that final or take it early. Or
This is a real school.
And they're just
it is a
missing
real
the-
school.
They're just missing the
but I
big
think
thing.
that until you graduate seniors, I don't
It's a
know.
real school.
Say it louder for those in the back.
Sorry to take that whole rabbit hole.
It's good data and information though.
Yeah.
And it's all,
Upper school is playing around with Saturday school for next year, because we've also noticed that credit recovery, a lot of kids are like, oh, I have to get a ride, my parents said, and if they're not there for the full hour, they lose credit. So these parents are expecting their kids to be there. I'm not a jailhouse, I'm not going to chain them to their seats. So they go and then they're not making up their hours. So we're looking at playing around with that. In 8th grade, because they take Algebra 1, they would also fall into that. So we would catch 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th.
So if they had to come to Saturday school every time we offered it because they keep taking off so many days of school, it starts to change the behavior. So I think that what we have is at the end of the day, they just stay on 4:15 to do the credit recovery. And so then it's kind of like, well, it's not that big a deal. I'm already here.
But what we've also noticed is the high school kids are starting to check in with Mrs. Dion, our Dean of Academics, who monitors that. And they're like, how many more hours do I have left to go until I'm out of credit recovery? So the more you put it on the student, the more the responsibility becomes the students. And I have a lot of students that were tardy and missing all of their first period that are now making sure that they're here right when the bell rings. So we're seeing a slow change. Upper school has a little bit easier route in that sense, but we are we're working with another Great Hearts who has Saturday school, and it's we're thinking that we're going to go that route. So.
Just wanted to review, we're obligated to talk just a little bit about what it means to be a Title I school and how we use the funds. So Title I funds, we use them mostly for additional teachers and paraprofessionals. I know in the upper school we use them. We have an extra interventionist that other Great Heart schools don't have. Additional training for school staff, extra time for instruction before and after school program. So we do pay stipends to teachers who are doing after school accelerated instruction for students who struggle with the STAR test. Parent and family engagement activities, and I know that you all have shared some. We've got some, hopefully some ideas for next year. A variety of supplemental teaching materials, equipment, and technology. I know that we just found out that a lot of the books that we have been ordering for students that are either student books that you can use, or they're expendable books, finally have a list that you order directly from TEA and you don't get charged for them, as a balance. So,
But it has to be on an approved, but it has to be on a TA approved.
They're acting.
It's not.
Yeah. So I know we also use, there's Title IV monies, and it's very tricky how you use it. It has to be career oriented, and so we have. It used to be lyceum electives that they're after school, but earlier than the middle school guild. So hopefully high school will stick around for them. But those are all funded. So right now we've got the most popular is our and they are actually right now building a gazebo that's going to go over in the at the end of this building here where the Humane Letters break happens. So they're excited about a lot of the things that they're doing. So, yeah. Why we participate? The intent of this program is to improve student academic achievement. I think that the hardest, we have plenty of ideas on how to help use Title I money that will help student achievement. It's a matter of, there is a grants person who shares with us how to use and what funds are available. I don't think that yet we fully understand and have tapped into all the Title I money that is available for schools. There's a lot of red tape, and there was some cuts to some of those things this last year, federal programs. So that's my goal is when you look at the budgets side by side from other favorite schools, you don't see a difference in how many faculty one school has over another. So the Title I monies were supposed to help fill the gap. We don't have the same amount of CI. Our budgets are smaller, so we certainly shouldn't have less teachers. We should have more, right? Is what you would think. So I think that's still, I don't think we fully realize all of the Title I that's available to a charter school. So
You're saying you're carrying it out. I'm cutting it.
I can hear you.
Chat is very busy. It's very busy over here.
All right, so over the last 2 years ago, we came up with a parent and family engagement policy. It looks pretty similar to the one that Great Hearts put together for us. Ours has got some specific things. So there's pictures from upper school, pictures from lower school. The engagement policy specifically addresses involving parents in organized, ongoing, and timely planning and reviewing of this parent and family engagement program, providing timely information about parent and family engagement activities. So one of the things I want to be able to do with Kyla is come up with some things that we can do jointly as for families from upper and lower, and then what are some things that are more specific to upper and lower that we can offer to families. Providing information to parents about curriculum and assessment. That's what I'm curious about. Do you feel as a family that you know when STAR test days are because you see it in the newsletter, you know when math test days are, but you don't feel as if you as a parent are informed on, do you feel as if you know how your student has performed to the extent that you think it would be helpful to you as a parent?
If you come to the conferences.
Yeah, right.
I mean, because you get the math testing.
Yep.
And you get the results. I mean, everybody who comes knows how their students doing on the tests. Okay. Because you get them right there.
Okay.
Right? I mean.
Yeah, we try to offer.
What is the percentage that come to the conferences?
Sixth grade was almost 100%.
That's awesome.
It gets a little bit less as you go up. A lot of juniors, a lot of seniors,
don't know if average, 7th and 8th tends to be.
7th and 8th grade tends to be definitely lower.
But isn't there a transition from the 8th grades, kids, new kids coming in, kids coming out? That's kind of a transition.
It's mostly 8th to 9th.
But again, that's just informing the parent. Not say it's not informing, but it's not very standard for them to get so many down. Maybe for them.
Yeah.
But, the information's there.
Yeah. Also, the teachers will call parents of students who are not doing well that have not signed up for conferences. So they're email parent, phone call. But yeah, we're trying to call them.
Is there anything about how we do conferences at the end of first quarter and the end of second quarter? Is there anything about conferences that just made this certain tweak, it would be more accessible? Because you as a parent wouldn't let anything from it, but there's something that would make it easier.
I would say, I don't mind coming in person because I have a really flexible job, but it's very nice to be able to do it via Zoom. I know that I don't know. I think that was an option maybe last time or the two before. No.
So lower school we do Zoom, but we also don't have the team dynamic where we have to
That's true.
get 6 or 7 people in a room. For us, it's easier to just do. So we do Zoom. We do in person or Zoom for K-5 and specials, but the 2 people stay in the room together. I think.
Well, I mean, the last couple of months I've been through, there's only been 2. So, I mean, there could be an option, but I
think all of it's available.
Some people can't take off work.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
We've offered. So you sign up for a slot and then you reach out to the teacher and just ask for a phone call. That way we don't have to worry about people audio not working. It's just a simple phone call. And a lot of parents have taken advantage of that. So that's definitely there.
I mean, at some point, adults have. What are we going to do?
And then did you have a thought?
That's shocking to me.
And I think that it's culturally, if your family, there's not a lot of things that you do on a regular schedule. You don't go to church on Sunday. Every time, grandma's in town, we make sure that you do this every Sunday. You don't have routines and those things, even if somebody wasn't holding a brick over your head, you'd still do. That your family says, we do hard things together, right? This is just another one of those long list of things that you're always looking for an excuse not to do. The question is like, so then how do we incentivize people? Because sometimes when you build the habit and routine, you start to see something, you suddenly see that the investment, all you had to do was show up twice in a year at a parent-teacher conference and answer an email once in a while. Yeah, and you suddenly realize that your kid tried a little harder.
But I think you can only do so much for their child. If they don't see that that's just coming, their child can't anybody to you. It's their own child. We give them a lollipop. I'm not trying to, it's our child. You're going to make the time, and if you want your child, you're going to invest. That's just it. I agree. And so I don't think you're asking a question that there's not other than just have to be a parent and choose to get up and go. Whether it's a phone call, Zoom meeting, or make it in person.
Sometimes I'm a single mom. I'll just leave I feel like my teacher gets bills all the time. So even if you can't come, let's say tell because I can't make it sometimes. Right. But when
you communicate.
Constant communication. I don't know what I'm going to say. I feel like I need to see everybody. But in elementary, we're fine. We just have to. Like when I can't make it, I will send an email. I have all of them. If I see something concerning in their program.
So the people that are staying at home because they are engaged, I don't know that there's an incentive we can give them to make them come or be in.
And it's not just come, it's come and also don't be early.
Well, now that's 2. But
You mean leave the conference?
Well, no, early checkouts are astronomical.
whatever the case may be, I don't know that certain incentives are going to come here and then people are disengaged. I don't know how, I don't know what kind of, I mean, we're going to hand out $100 bills. We don't have them.
Whether it's a true graph and somebody is, if you look at those that we're just talking about, kids missing school and parents being involved, I'm pretty sure those groups are going to cross over quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I know you're saying how can we instead of keep parents' choice to make their kid go to school, the parent choice to make the time, availability, communication with their teacher. So you're asking something that if you can find that out, I'm sure you're going to be a billionaire.
But I also think it's not a thing. I think it's a culture thing too. Like some people just are not seeing school as being as important as it used to be when we were younger. Like I scare my kids. Like I'm like, you have to go to school, or you're going to go to jail. That's just it. And I'm not going to jail, so we're going to school. But it's just like I think outside of Great Hearts, it is outside of Great Hearts. I just think the society as a whole, even my son in fourth grade is like, well, I learned this, and like, you're gonna always learn. It's gonna always seem like you're gonna be learning the same math, but you're going to school for life lessons. You're not actually going for this. Like I feel like that's a conversation, and I feel like it's outside of Great Hearts is a problem too because society is now not making school seem as important or that it's just as important as it used to be. So I think that there's a bigger problem here, and that the parents that are not coming, they're affected by the bigger problem as well.
I think maybe a choice to come to a charter school. So I just feel like you did something more than the average, person. So then my thought is one of the things that we did do at Northern Oaks, it was new to so many families. We had mentor families. So we had about 50 parents who signed up to say, I will mentor, in other words, 3 times a year, I'll make a phone call here, or these big things to say, hey, I'm going to the ice cream social. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Or, hey, I'm here to answer any questions. I know that school's coming starting. Would that be a helpful thing, do you think? Because I feel as if we did try it in the beginning. Because my thought is parents say, okay, they will get feel as if they feel like we don't know anything is going on at the school. I've never been in the building. I don't even know what anything you look at. Like, and my thought is, well, if you had a parent who was a fellow parent, they said, hey, you know what? I know the school sounds like you can't get in the front door. This is how you get in the front door, or you just need to know 2 people there. This person and this person. There's your. You think a parent mentor? If we offered a parent mentor program, that might be helpful.
It could. I think that it's going to be dangerous families that participate.
Yeah, and I'll give you an interesting example. So our parents are one of the common parents. I kind of looked at a few of you who have spent a lot of time in our building in the school day with their students going to class and going to recess lunch that said that your school is like a military school and we force kids to be silent all the time. And I would love for that person to join us in the hallway eating lunch. And our hallways are not whatsoever, but even that, it's a very, very strong opinion of perception, but also doubtful that that person actually fit in the schoolhouse during those times to see it for themselves. It's the perception of a child who probably was held accountable, and if you're not held accountable regularly and often, it's much harder when
You're looking again. We're going to the part of the school, right? The idea of how to best put it. You're looking for a mentor family. Talk about last how instead of families having the opportunity for PSO to establish a big spectrum, whether it's hey, we are now have the 5th graders going to 6th grade. Let's have, you mentioned you used to have the family meetings at bigs. Well, if say the 100, let's use again the general 120 5th graders are going into 6th grade, and you get 70 of those families to show up as parents who are involved in the school. Hey, we have this opportunity for dads, right? Because we need dads to do things. We have this opportunity for mom. These are the events we're going to have for the year. Let's get your name out. And if you get 25 of those 70 that just show up to get involved, you have just now mentored. So to take an individual family and put it on it, I don't think you should do it. I think the task, our 5th graders are going into 6th, which is a big deal. are 8th or going into 9th, which is considered high school. It's all a big deal. But I don't think you should regulate looking for a family because at some point, the 80-20 rule really goes down to like 5 to 95. It's very taxing. But you have them invited to a large group, meet these kids, meet everyone's coming up. Let's give an opportunity because they're new and they're coming in, and maybe the dad is super excited wants to be involved. There's a great opportunity. Your child's going in 6th grade. Come on in, be part of this. We need dads to help out with the opportunities to help watch the parking lot or move stuff. So I don't think it's a whole mentor thing putting on, again, I think that number of more on families we see here regularly.
Yeah.
I think you need to make the spectrum bigger, the opportunity bigger, and then you'll get more people involved.
I mean, the engagement at the PSO level is the same 10 people over and over again.
And so making
At every event.
Yeah. And there are new faces. Where there's new faces, it is growing. It used to be about 8, say 8 ladies, but we still have two PSO president and the treasurer have been on the PSO leaders since I started.
Yeah, it's the same.
But we don't even have it.
Yeah, that's what my wife told me.
So question, I'm of the opinion of like what you said, you chose the school, right? You're choosing to be here, making the effort. I love this school, all of y'all. Some of y'all more than others, but not y'all here. No, but here's a question. You talked about how the senior thesis doesn't actually count towards their grade, but it does affect, like it doesn't have an actual grade, right? So just thinking of that idea, right? We talk about, I don't remember, isn't there like a parent something or other that we sign at the beginning when we show up? Some type of accountability thing? Okay, so what if we added some type of provision to the parents where it's like, hey, if you show up, you have to show up because if not, it will affect you. Where maybe it's not a negative affecting, but maybe somehow spin it into your student gets, call it extra credit of some sort, and we figure out what that means, right? Or it's like, hey, now you have an incentive to show up, and it's not just an incentive for you, you're helping your own kid get better grades.
Yeah, all positive, not unrealistic in the thought process.
We can also have a negative thing if they choose to sign it and say, okay, it's affecting us negatively. I don't know if that's possible.
And our seniors who have been to school 90% of the day and have a 90% or higher don't have to take finance.
Or if you take that and use it, if your parent helps out and showing quotes in the air, and then you get okay, that's not it. We had senior skip days, and the faculty of my high school knew it was part of, knew it was going to happen. But if you had a certain percentage, but if you've got these kids doing well with academics, doing well concerning they're not missing school, and the parents actively involved, simple stuff like that. It's a positive, but
if we hope they are all school awards positive, there are a lot of students receiving awards. We actually have somebody who can win the perfect attendance award. We had never had anybody. So we went from like I think 1 last year, 0 the year before. We've got a couple. So we have tons of different awards. I'll tell you, I can't imagine any of the students are receiving those awards are the on the short list, right? And so there's really try to we are honoring the students who have served. We're honoring students who served on council. We're honoring students who were served as mentors. We're trying to honor every single students who love the athletics department and intramurals and volunteer coaches for the 5th and 6th grade intramurals, either as a coach or as a referee. And so we're going to be honoring that. So a lot of students, what we're hoping to do is positive peer pressure. Because maybe I just need to do more. We are slow. high school students to be involved. I guess what we filled, what we try to do is fill space with this, and we have up to 8%.
I'll tell you that my children would probably, if they knew something positive would come from me showing up to teacher conferences or to whatever. I mean, I also have 5 of them. But
You're here anyway, so.
yes.
For the parent meeting, we come in. We said it's even if you weren't returning, your kid was returning the next year. It was a meeting for to talk a little bit about what's happening in high school parents day. It was we had just about every parent. I like the way we can turn some incentives into that.
What sort of engagement do we have? I feel like someone show up and you can only attend this kind of meet repeat gym.
Well, as for director of community engagement, who is constantly any business or any community to support what we do. I don't know if we
It's
can-
so difficult. It's definitely been a challenge in the community. A lot of businesses have it, don't have time, don't have energy. It is a lot. I'm shocked. I've done this position at other businesses and been able to bring in Colgate bus and brought in an offer to reach the students and all sorts of things. It's definitely challenging. But I know that we can find those people that just not done right. Or talking to people who know people. Yeah.
Words out of one school.
We're supposed to. The woodworks will want to help us.
Well, in certain schools, certain people know people because of their socioeconomic.
But I just wanted to run through quickly the school and parent compact. It basically says what it is that we will do, we promise to do, and what in return the families are promising to do. One of them is making sure that their students are come to school. So we have promised high quality curriculum instruction. There's a school staff should responsibility to improve student academic achievement, frequent communication between and home, and valued parenting practices. The importance of parents and families in decisions relating to the education of their children. Parents have the right to be involved in the development of the school and parent. And in asking questions about how we spend the title. So that's one of the reasons for this week. I like this. So I wonder if we can put some things behind. Parent compact has a whole section of what we expect the parents to do. Maybe we talk a little bit more about we promise to do these things, how we do these things. Parent compact, and if there was some incentive structure to the Title I meeting, we have to follow. And if there was some sort of,
Well, we started offering childcare.
we did not childcare. I don't want money so they couldn't offer. We thought that maybe they would have pizza and pizza, and we were told that wasn't a way that we could do it. I know we've been talking about things that we've done. Are there things that you haven't touched on today that you would like to bring forward?
How is the current work-life balance for the faculty, teachers, administration? It sounds like there's a lot of work going into student development after. Are we at risk of burning out teachers and administrators? To the extent we can use the Title I funds, are we compensating them enough that they are feeling valued for their sacrifices? And as parents and the community, how can we support the teachers and kind of fill that gap that they are putting in 11, 12, or 4-hour days that just seem insane to kind of carry some of the so that they can make it and come back next year and the year after that, and the year after that.
I would say that we're probably on the risk of burnout. We're definitely there. So it is a lot less to do with the fact that we don't have contracts with our agreements to teachers are burnt out, they are tired, and our pay scales that we have to function in some areas is comparable to our neighboring schools, and it's not comparable to a lot of the faculty that have an acknowledgement of where it's not comparable. We can choose this for ourselves and for our children. And there are other faculty that that's not their primary motivator, so they are leaving. And as far as how the money goes, we work together on every single year we've asked for hazard pay for our faculty. And we work with friends in other districts, in other states, other schools, and our teachers work really hard, even within district communities, and it's more of faculty and supporting students, right? So a lot of them are saying, I know there's a comment in the chat, like a lot of data comments, but when I say that faculty are doing quite literally everything they have, it's at a point now where it's taken away from their family, their personal lives. There is not more than the people, I think, in our building to the kids that come here every single day. Teacher in any situation, the teacher and the student dynamic is perfect. They're going to make mistakes, and kids are going to make mistakes, there's disagreements, but I would say, I don't think I know, but I don't think that anyone to do more than what they're currently doing to try to help kids be successful. And we've talked about this before, you guys have similar questions, normalizing when you're doing the work that you do daily. We spend as much time as we do with the children that are in our building is to question when the simple phone call makes your students doing X, Y, and Z, or question, or said, well, are you sure they did that? Yes, that's what I'm calling you. It's not fun. I'd rather not call you if your child is on the back end when naughty bad things happen is so much more than just a positive. I'm doing this. I know that it's disheartening when you work really hard, and then it's very constantly and consistently hit with. I don't trust. To the situation at face value, and it's a cultural thing, right? With the news, it's on social media, it's definitely a trend in society currently. It's not less problem, and it's of course not all right. So you guys are amazing. So many families that show up, that partner with us. It's not everyone's problem, but the ones that isn't problem, they're the loudest, and it does have a lasting impact on faculty and our retain them. Yeah.
I would say that the average is about 3 years. And it has nothing to do with whether or not we've built appropriate communities with faculty. It's literally, do they have the physical ability to keep doing what they're doing? Even it used to be with the Great Heart School, you were sometimes struggling with it's really fun, but I'm going to go to grad school now. We only have one teacher. A lot of them really struggle with. 2 people in administration are getting a master's degree while they're also doing this job. And I will tell you that you do not do less than at least 10 hours a day. And we can't. Our phones are literally on through the evening because if there is something comes in through email that says, I think that this is happening in school today, you're required to respond. We made phone calls to our safety director at midnight. So it's kind of like a doctor, always on call. For our teachers, we have children though, they shouldn't answer their email after 5 o'clock. And if they must, some of them have an Apple Watch on, set it to be at 8 o'clock in the morning. I can't tell you how hard it was last week. As Becca comes to school, I had extra money to even buy a little spoon to put in each teacher's boxes, put out the buckets. We put out the buckets with the kids, teachers inside, and I would say that are empty. And then simply we told the kids, like, just a note, just a 2x5 card, write a note to the teacher. So they get an inordinate amount of very negative. When we do events, we put our hearts and souls into. Typically the only things we hear are what we did wrong. And so in a lot of the events, especially if you have school, a lot of these very, very specifically at a great heart that you don't have anywhere else. Bail will come. Adults come LARPing dressed in costumes to teenagers at night and eat food with their hands, and read passages of Beowulf together, and then carry a paper mache corpse to the bonfire. So it's just those kinds of things. Last week, the Rose Speech came on a Saturday morning, came dressed up. We made handmade flower arrangements, all those kinds of things. And I hope that Mrs. Glow would receive at least one email saying that was special. So it is really hard, and we try to please don't email problems, just tell us. Please tell us. We have a very young faculty right now. So if they just simply got a little bit of love, as a school, we don't do the snowflake fund. So all the Great Heart schools do a snowflake fund, where there's a parent that goes around and collects money from parents instead of saying, instead of taking your teacher candles or like that, they collect money and then they divide it evenly among all the teachers. And it no longer exists here because it's just difficult, and I completely understand. The teachers know that. They know that the other schools, they get an envelope of cash. These are what they call an April shower after next day. So there's just it's hard. This is a hardship for teachers here, but they love it, and I know that for a fact that our teachers. We've heard the speeches that were given about the seniors. We had tissues on every table because we knew that there was going to be that kind of connection. So I know that the work that we're doing is moving our schools. Yeah. How'd you get to that? And we're happy to do it. We really are. I am constantly pulling my hair out, thinking, how can I serve teachers that will demonstrate them the love they're not receiving from parents of their students, so that they'll stay because they're valuable, and we've invested a lot. So a lot of our teachers come, they don't know what classical education is, but they said, "Man, I read everything on your website, and it sounds really awesome, and if you will give me the training, I would do this." And they you just get to a certain point where if you know how the other side lives, you can only do this for so long. So,
How many people do you have on faculty? On your side or everybody? And on upper school?
We counted up at 57.
That includes shared, so off.
That doesn't include our shot. That doesn't include our share. We have 67. Those included
And your number includes?
Operations.
Okay. What about? What about like the cleaning crew? Does that include that?
No.
That's
Yeah, they're called contract.
so they're not actually. We don't care about. We don't care about. Forget about it. Just kidding.
I just want to add to the conversation. I want to make sure that
we're not hearing that this is like a parent issue. It's not parent emails that are causing teachers to leave. I have friends in other districts that used to work here at Great Hearts, and they'll just be honest, it's a difficult field, no matter whether you're getting paid a charter school salary or a public school salary, that's making $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 more. This is just difficult. The work is just difficult. I know at lower school, we might have a few parent emails, but for the most part, I mean, we have a wall full of, we did like a wall of balloons and sent out a Google form so that parents could just say something positive about their teacher. We printed them out, put them on the wall, and then leave them to the teacher in their box. So that if they couldn't provide anything monetary, whatever it is that they were looking for, they gave them positive words. And we found it that was really helpful. And teachers were so grateful. They were crying just from the notes that parents wrote on the form that we sent. So I just want to make sure that you guys know this isn't like just angry parent emails that are driving people away. It's not just that. It's everything else. It's lesson plan. It's meetings. It's after school. It's grading. All the things. It's not just parents. So I just want to make sure that it's clarified. It's not. It's the field. It's just a hard field. The parent stuff is just one small aspect. It's everything else.
But, I mean, it seems like people are still, every year we retain more. I mean, it's like we've got really good quality
The
staff right now.
But you hit the point. Let's brought the point up. It has to do with money. Things make it easier. So we talked about Snowflake, and that's it hasn't been for a couple of years. And again, we know it's not a can't be administrative thing. We talk about the parents, student organization, individual has to be something outside of that. So we understand money's going to make things easy. But we've also talked about, because we are parents here, that there's accountability for parents and accessibility for parents to know what's going on or what's not going on. Goes on. We have to have that information, how it gets passed out. Again, there needs to be opportunities. Families meet for 5th to 6th grade. This is what we have going on. We'd like to raise. So the idea is everything you're saying is not nothing that don't disagree. Get paid more, and rightfully so, accolades. But I think it still goes no matter what. No one's finger pointing because we're parents. We're on it. We're not putting daggers towards teachers or towards parents. There's just accountability. Whether you get your kid up and go to school, whether you go to meetings, whether you want to be part of PSO, you want to be part of volunteer, anything. It just goes back to the accountability and you choosing and taking care of the responsibility of your own child and the relationships you're going to have while they grow up to be adults. So we hear what you're saying, and the opportunity can be there, right? This year is going to be ending great. Next year's a new year. I also think you've opened the doors, and I think if anybody's listening to this game, then more opportunities for them to be part of something, right?
Right.
But money does make it easier.
Well, yeah, and there's always going to be a suggestion. Like we had interventionists, special education teachers. We have all of the same ideas, but you have to pay for all those people.
Sure. Money's going to make it easier.
And
Yes.
you're helping.
Sure, cool.
Was there anything in the chat that you saw that?
There was some accolades.
Yeah, there was positive feedback about upper school credit recovery goals. Family, some questions about yeah.
There's one. Says that's
Oh, and the mics are real. Yeah. So questions about considering the underlying causes of chronic absenteeism, like mental health related issues, load that the students are experiencing at the high school level are high, with only having a counselor for both campuses. Looking into more resources to support the student services teams, get fed more help was one of the comments. Some feedback about illnesses and
Saturday school being a good option.
Is your doctor's appointments, that's not included in the 11%, right? That's excused, right? It's other
No, the
Other-
chronic and
all-
absenteeism percentages, those are all unexcused absences. So we've already vetted any doctor's note, parent written note, that we can't have master schools. That's chronic absenteeism, unexcused absences. No, communication is effective.
Helpful.
Always answer questions. Parent involvement, should be an absolute must. They agree about that one. And then what's the correlation at the lower middle school level? You know what correlate attendance with reading level scores. If a child struggles to read, they will not want to come to school. So we have to ensure that they have the skills so that they can be excited about coming to school. That yeah. we agree.
My son has dyslexia. That's what happened. Third grade, he didn't want to go to school. He wasn't diagnosed until fifth grade. I noticed it. They didn't do anything for me about it until fifth grade. Like, I don't want to go to school, but I made it. But he was not okay. So I agree with that.
Makes all the difference.
If they are being challenged and they're not, but yeah.
All of the retention meetings that I'm having, the amount of days that they're absent are high, but the kids are low. So it makes sense.
These are the events that are coming up for us just in the last 6 days. We have our all school awards assembly. If anybody asked you, I didn't know if our parents invited. Every student who's getting a major award received an email saying, please come to the award. So what's not included in a major award is I have like 75 students who are on 5 or higher than us. We didn't invite all of those families, but anybody who's receiving a medal or a plaque or anything, they've been invited. So if you didn't receive one,
8th grade parents did not get invited because 8th grade awards will be at the promotion ceremony.
make sure we get them all there. We have the seniors are doing a Shakespeare play on Saturday. Graduation rehearsal is on Monday. We have to go over to UTSA. Then the senior walk. The seniors get in their gowns. They walk from the library over to lower school. They start kindergarten, and we can't wait to see what they're going to do in lower school. But they all stand outside the classroom and cheer them on as they walk through the entire lower school building across the courtyard and then start with 6th grade and go all over our building. It is professionally filmed and then produced. It's put out on social media, but then we also watch it at graduation. So, yeah, it's kind of this, but all Great Heart schools do that. Then we've got, of course, our high school finals next week. 8th graders are included in that. They're even they're like the comp class. All of them are doing it mini to get them a little bit prepared for high school. 8th graders have their promotion rehearsals. Promotion. So the difference between graduation and promotion. You've not graduated from anything yet when you're in 8th grade. You were just being promoted, and it's a big deal. They receive their house tie at the promotion ceremony, and their promotion is the 21st. House banquets on May the 22nd, and then graduations on Saturday the 23rd. Everyone is invited, and we will make sure that in the newsletter this week, that information about graduation is out there for anybody who would like to come and see our first class on stage. A wonderful speaker coming, Dr. Toya Ashwani. She was a colleague of mine my second year with Great Heart. She has been learning the Great Hearts Christos the last couple of years, and she came to the United States via Nigeria and Belize, and she also has a school that she runs in Nigeria. Calls her job here, and she really understands the importance of literacy and how much literacy gives wings to students, and that each student has a purpose. And so her excited.
She's an incredibly inspiring speaker. I've heard her speak before. For lower schools, we will have our surprise attendance celebration. So the grade level that has the highest attendance throughout the entire school year gets a surprise celebration. The grade level that's winning has won for the 3rd time in their tenure at lower school, and so we've had to come up with 3 different themes for them. We couldn't go with our one theme; they kept winning. So an attendance incentive for them.
We'll have our promotion rehearsals. We'll promote our kindergartners, and then the promotion ceremony. They will do the lower school building on their way to the gym for their promotion because they're promoting up to sixth grade. And for kindergarten, our first graders actually they do like a time set for them just outside the doors as they're coming to the promotion as well. And then on the last day of school, we've got our start day. We'll have our K4 picnic, so all our kids K4 will be outside for a picnic all together, while our fifth graders will enjoy their junior house banquet and figure out who wins the junior house ticket.
Lots still left to do. Any last things that you would like to leave on our plate? 'Cause my leadership is doing an offsite the week after school's out, and we will be talking about everything that went well and didn't go well, and we're planning for next year. So, yeah, spend 2 nights together, 2 days, just hashing it all out. So if there's something that you want us to feast on or chew on, even if you don't think of anything right now, you shoot us an email, something to consider. Well, yes, it's off-site, so.
You have somebody dealing with all of the audio stuff, all that stuff for graduation.
Well, so since it's at UTSA, there is I think an audio visual person comes with I'll find out on Monday to what extent that is, because it is being live streamed as well. We